so the question is, when you're getting ready to graduate high school, like, where are you going to go to college? What are you going to study? What are you going to major in? Get married, have kids, and like now it's all about telling them to live their dreams, and they can be anything they want to be, and you haven't even lived yours yet. I was always told, like, don't you want to have something to show for yourself? You think about that kind of like that mindset. Listen to that. What does that imply?
Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Life Inner Show. I'm your host, Jason Wojo. On the Life Inner Show, we help people make more, work less, and live awesome, amazing, abundant lives. I am joined by my Polish co-host, Polish Peter.
So you kind of stumbled there. Listen, I'm excited about this particular episode because I feel like during this episode, just by listening to this episode, my muscles are going to grow.
I agree. And, and you guys have the same name. So we are interviewing, right. We're talking with Peter Putnam, who is a pro bodybuilder that essentially has moved on from pro bodybuilding so that he can pursue music, which is kind of nuts. Like, you'd think of somebody once they establish success and once they're doing really well in an industry, in a niche, they've established themselves, they're doing well, they kind of settle there. And well, this wasn't the case for Peter, and he decided to change directions. And in this episode, we're going to get into like some of the factors that allowed him to be successful. Like, how do you do that? Like, right. And by the way, how did you even get to be a pro bodybuilder? Like that's plenty of questions right there in and of itself. And so we have a lot to unpack here, man.
Yeah. I want you to listen from the perspective because he shares a story. However, what I want you to listen for is, look out, when he first started, there is no how-tos. There is no mentors. There is no what you need to do. So how was he able to do that? A lot of us in life don't know what's going to happen next, right? How we go about doing this business or whatever it might be. So listen from that perspective. Later on in the episode, he shares something about moving. And I think that little nugget that he dropped was really, really powerful. So I'm excited for you guys to listen.
Awesome conversation. Great guy. Let's go now to our interview with Peter Putnam. Peter, what's up, man? Welcome to the Life Here Show, bro.
Hey, man. How you doing?
Good, dude. I'm super excited to have you here, man. So Peter and I talked about this in the intro already, but like, you're somebody that I've known for a while. I've been, we've been, gosh, man, you won collegiate nationals in 2004. You've been in the bodybuilding scene, and that was actually my first exposure to you. And then seeing what you've been doing with all the music. There's an incredible story here that I want our listeners I want to take them on this journey with you through these two completely separate careers, in which case, like, there's so much to unpack there and let's bring it back to the bodybuilding first, because like, I mean, you were like that, this was you weren't just some guy in the gym working out, like you were national level turned pro, and this is something you're awesome at. So let's go back to there. Like, so tell us, and, especially I'm fascinated with, winning collegiate nationals. You're young. I guess you're kind of a kid almost, really. Like you're young, and we're adults now, but like, how did you even get to that point of success? Like, and I'm curious as to how that's translated for you now into music, like to bring us back to those early bodybuilding days.
Well, obviously my journey was not a straight line. There was a lot of unknowns, just grinding in the gym. And before social media, you didn't have access to, you weren't given the same amount of, like, I say now there's probably more visibility. You can gleam into that world because people are putting it out there, they're broadcasting it. So, and you remember the days when it was just the magazines and you had to wait every month, for a magazine to come out. And so the road to even getting there, it seemed to be, there was no, as far as I was concerned, no real understanding even how to get there. I had never seen anybody from where I was in Northwest Georgia. No one had ever had any measurable success in bodybuilding. So there was no one for me like to look up to take me under their wing, to guide me, to assist me. I had no coach, no mentor. I just decided I wanted to try to do something that I did not even have a clue how to do. So.
And so, but you didn't let that hold you back, man. So tell us, like, when did you actually start competing?
So I started competing. The first show I ever did was the NPC Atlanta Bodybuilding Championships in '98.
Wow.
No idea. And this was like, again, going back to the day of just the magazines. There was no online promotion for this contest. It was old school contest posters, put up in a gym. So I guess, whoever was promoting was, hustling and getting out and putting up posters at different gyms. I mean, for a state show, I can't imagine how difficult that must have been. Obviously, probably mailing out flyers and posters to all the gyms. You're probably like doing some type of like going to the yellow pages and looking at all the gyms throughout the state, and then you're getting the addresses and you're mailing out the flyers and the posters, and you hope they put them up. Maybe you call them and ask them to do it, but you got to think about how far the industry's come. But I see a poster in the gym for the NPC Atlanta Bodybuilding Championships, and I thought maybe that's something I could do. I just kind of become familiar with Dorian Yates. I was actually getting ready for spring practice at UTC, University of Tennessee Chattanooga. I was going to play football, and so in my mind, I was already in shape. I thought if you had some abs, you were probably good to go, And so I had that, but I had no idea what bodybuilding entailed, and the rigors, the discipline, the dedication. And so. Yeah, but it started out just a very simple process of picking up the phone, calling the number on the poster, speaking to the promoter, saying, I don't know even how to go about this. What do I need? And he's like, you need posing trunks. You're going to need skin dye. And so I think I ordered them from him. And it was very humble beginnings,
Man, dude, that's wild. And so how did you do that first contest, by the way?
I won my class in the novice, and that's a great story, because typically, as you know, like at the evening show, they'll only bring out the top 5 to award the top 5, but there were 7 of us in the class, and they brought all 7 of us back out on stage, which is not normal, but I guess they thought, for just again, this wasn't a big national level show. This was just a show in Atlanta. So, they're going through, and in 5th place, 4th place, 3rd place, 2nd place, which means there's only 2 of us left standing. And I'm one of those 2. So I'm either first or last. And in my mind, I'm probably dead last. I could not gauge myself. I didn't know how to see things. I didn't know how to view and assess a physique. And then when they called my name in the first place, Peter Putnam, I was really kind of just shocked. I thought, is this, well,
what?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's how green I was. I didn't have anyone helping me do anything. So it was just completely like me just kind of piecemealing things together. I used an early contest book that Franco Colombo wrote, which
wow, man.
Yeah, I mean, like what I had at my disposal was very crude. It was very, truly old school.
And then, dude, so fast forward, I'm imagining, like, it was at the moment that you kind of got bitten by the bug, and you just decided, like, man, this is something I really enjoy. I want to do more of it.
Well, when I won that show, or won my class at the NPC Atlanta Bodybuilding Championship, there was guys there that came up to me and just, they were really polite and encouraging, saying, you got a good physique, you're young, probably could do really well at this, keep going. And at that show, I found out that Dorian Yates was going to be guest posing at another show in 2 weeks. And I thought, well, I'll just do the show just to meet Dorian. And so, so you could compete in the novice, then you go up to the junior, then you could go up to as far as the different categories, and then when you're ready, you do the open. So I thought, well, I'll just do the junior and I'll meet Dorian. And so that was the show that, just because there was a special moment where Dorian, walking into the evening show, stopped me and said, congratulations on winning your class. And I was really perplexed, because I thought, how does he know? I mean, wait a minute, like, this is Dorian Yates, 6-time Mr. Olympia. Why, or how does he even know I won my class? Was he paying attention? I mean, like, was he, I couldn't understand it. And the fact that he tells me I've won before the evening show even began. So I'm backstage pumping up this entire time, getting ready. I see everyone else, they've got their, they're mentally ready and they're just zoned in. And you can see people are nervous, right? That feeling backstage, because you don't know, but I did. I mean, Dwayne told me I'd won. I didn't let anybody else know, so I'm just pumping up thinking, well, I know I won. So it's kind of anticlimactic other than the fact that Dwayne Yates, 6-time Mr. Olympia, had told me I'd won, which I thought that was great. But and so, but I asked him years later about that, and he didn't even remember the occasion. He said, and it made sense when he told me this. Peter, I probably just looked up there and could see it was obvious you won the class, and so that's why. And I was like, oh yeah, well you are 6-time Mr. Olympia. You probably could look up there and see who wins, you know.
Dude, but that's so
that
cool.
point for me, it was like, you know, I couldn't comprehend how the 6-time Mr. Olympia actually stopped to tell me congratulations on winning my class, and who was I? It was just some green competitor competing in the junior division.
Man, that is awesome, dude. What a cool story. And so you continue at it. You win. And I'm assuming there's a bunch of contests between then and the collegiate nationals.
Yeah, not a lot, honestly. I kind of did the proverbial show a year. You know, because I guess after that encounter with Dorian, which made me think possibly I should exhaust this as far as and just go with this until it doesn't make any sense. Let's just see how far I can take this.
Yeah.
I did not do a lot of shows because, you know, now I'm reading the magazines. I'm reading about the guys taking off seasons to build, you know, to get bigger and do the work they needed to improve. And so I kind of began that route. So didn't do a lot of shows. I did this Georgia State show prior to the collegiate nationals, and that there was a big class, and I competed in a lot of heavies, and there was a big class. I think like 13 guys in a class for a state show. I mean, like now you can't even get like, you know, that bodybuilding numbers are dwindling because of all the different categories, you know. But that show, I took second place. I was runner up. There was some booze in the audience, and you know, there's always local level stuff going on. You know, this guy trains at so-and-so's gym and all that stuff. And Rock Shabazz, who was already a pro, beeline for me, like after I came off stage, and just came up to me and said, hey, listen, he goes, don't let this bother you. He's like, do you have plans to go on do any other national level shows? And I said, yeah, I'm actually going to do the collegiate nationals in 2 weeks. And he said, good, go up there. He goes, you're going to do great. He goes, you should have won this thing. He goes, but don't even worry about like the state level stuff. He goes, go to the national level. He goes, let the judges there see you. And he goes, you're going to do great. And so, and I went to the collegiate nationals, and that's where, like, you know, I did win. And the introduction, you need the same judges there that were, you know, they're also the Olympia judges, you know,
dude. And so then fast forward, you win that. And then, I mean, I'm guessing at this point, bodybuilding really starts taking center stage in your life. And then you also, and what year did you turn pro? There was a USA you turned pro at nationals.
I turned pro at the nationals in 2008.
Got it, man. And so during that time, so you go 2004 to 2008, bodybuilding is taking more and more center stage. You're getting featured, you're getting covered, you're being interviewed. Like this became a big thing for you. Was that accurate?
Well, I didn't really have any features until probably 2006.
Okay.
Well, heading into 2007, I footed my own bill to get out to California, though, in 2005. After the collegiate nationals, I started having some people contact me, like, if you can get out here, we can get you in the magazines. And so, but I was still so, I mean, I was naive, but also was just had trepidation about, you know, this whole subculture of bodybuilding and who these photographers were. And I, you know, like, who have you worked with? And I'm not just flying out there. I mean, who's going to pay for my airfare? Where am I going to get put up? I mean, so, you know, just some sketchy characters. And I just didn't want to, like, just go out to California with a bunch of unknowns. So, the irony is I actually turned down an opportunity, like after the collegiate nationals, to go out there and it would have been a good opportunity, but I was just like, I'm not going to, like, you know, go out there and risk my reputation with any, you know, with just some photographer that could, I don't know how, like, they're going to handle my
pictures or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't that I wasn't pretentious. I just thought, like, you know what, you know, I'm not just going to, like, go out there and just, like, you know, just rush into anything. I need to like validate, like, because to me, the Collegiate Nationals wasn't me validating myself on stage. It wasn't the Nationals. It wasn't the USA's. So I thought until I can actually validate myself, like on one of those at that stage, then I'm not going to go out to California. But now I did say in 2005, I started like this was now where I'm aware of what photographers are, like the key name photographers, the ones that are actually working with magazines, whether they're contracted out or they're working on spec and they can submit their work. And so now that I was aware of those guys, I contacted them and said, hey, if I was to come out there after a show, is there any possibility we might could do some work if you're interested? And so, you got to send them photographs of what you look like. And I was very fortunate that, every single one were like, yes, if you come out here, I'll shoot you. So I started like, that was me like doing the work before anything was ever handed to me. I'm footing my own bill at that point, getting out there. No guarantees. It was just an opportunity. I thought like, to at least start like getting some type of, some type of like recognition if you're in the magazines.
Yeah.
So, and again, there's no mentor. There was no one saying like, no agent, no one saying this is how you need to go about it. None of that.
So as this, there's this path where it sounds like little by little, you're learning more and more. You're still doing a ton on your own. Is bodybuilding, does it start to make you think this is going to be your one thing? Like this is what you're going to do? Like maybe it was after you won to a pro. I don't know.
I didn't so much have an end in mind when I was doing that, when I was entering into this whole journey, I didn't think about like, this was the pinnacle that here's the end goal that I'm working towards. I just wanted to, it's interesting because a lot of times, it's good to have an end in mind, but I was enjoying the journey and just really, it was trying to figure out like how, like there's this whole industry and there's no roadmap to success. And you find everyone's stories are different. So I was just trying to navigate things as best as possible. And if anything, make it where I was able to earn a living doing it. That was the bigger goal at the time, was like, how can I make this where it becomes lucrative to be able to like, actually provide an income.
Right. And you went pretty far along that journey. I mean, you turned pro, that's basically, aside from like winning, pro shows, you went like pretty much all the way. As far as like, the pinnacle of course is like winning the Olympia or the Arnold, but like, I mean, you were in there with top guys. Was this something that was providing your lifestyle, and what prompted, the shift to music? Because what I'm wondering, man, is like, here you are, ultra successful. No, people know who you are. Like I remember, like I'm like, oh, that's Peter. Like I recognize you, and I can understand how when somebody achieves success in one thing, it could make it really scary to start over in something completely different. And especially, we'll talk about music a little bit later, but like that's super personal, and you're brand new, and it's not like you're walking into this from like, hey, I have already written this, this award-winning album. And like, so what was that transition like? Like what took you out of bodybuilding and put you into music?
Well, the music had always been a part of my life. It wasn't something that I just, one day I decided I'm done with bodybuilding, I'm going to like do music full time. The music had always been there.
Oh,
there was music before there was bodybuilding. So, but it had never, it was one of those things where I don't know if I thought it would not be in my best interest to go down this road because maybe I'm not that good, or, I doubted my, musical abilities, for example. And the physical part of who I am, that makeup was always like very pronounced. And it was easier. I thought it was easier. I'm like, and it probably upsets people, like to think like, am I saying that like working out and eating and being disciplined, dedicated is easier. Oh yeah, it's a lot easier as far as I'm concerned. For me, I mean, like I can go autopilot. Like it's not a problem for me just to eat a bland diet. It's not a problem for me to avoid certain foods, like to grind it out in the gym. And I love that. That wasn't an issue. Like you didn't have to like, no one had to like make me do any of that. I didn't need a coach. I did not need a babysitter. So, but with the music, like, and anyway, the point being, I felt like maybe the physical giftings were just a little bit, they stronger. Were kind of already there. And so the pressure, I think, and a lot of it's societal, and whether it's implied or implicit, and depending on your upbringing and your maybe parental figures and their influence or what they're trying to push you towards, like, like being successful, we typically here in the West equate that to finances, so the question is, when you're getting ready to graduate high school, like, well, where are you going to go to college? What are you going to study? What are you going to major in? And so like, it's all this push, like you're 18 years old, you have no clue about life. You've never done anything. You have no experience in the real world, but you better figure out what you're going to do for the rest of your life by the time you graduate college in 4 years, because that's all life's about. And maybe you meet your wife or your spouse, soon to be spouse at college, get married, have kids. And like, now it's all about telling them to live their dreams, and they can be anything they want to be. And you haven't even lived yours yet. I mean, I think that's don't even get me started with that. I find that very interesting, but the push to be successful, make money, and like be able to like, like I was always told, like, Peter, don't you want to have something to show for yourself? You think about that kind of like that mindset. Listen to that. Don't you want to have something to show for yourself? What does that imply? That materialism, things that you can like, look at the house, look at the car. These are things I can show for myself. So don't even get me going down that road, because like, what about showing like, emotional intelligence or like emotional health, and like that type of like, that's who I am. I'm not just like what, it's not like the possessions. It's not what I achieve. It's not the accomplishment. So I think I was just different like that. I was never driven by the same things that other people were driven by. So, so for me, it wasn't like I know I'm not, I don't think I'm really articulating this well, but I never was hung up on like, I had to do what other people were wanting me to do. Right. So, if that makes sense, my parents were, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I'm at in regards to, I had a home where I had a mother and father, and they obviously sacrificed and they provided, but at the same time they had like expectations for me. And I really never had any problem, like, not meeting those expectations, because I wanted to do what I wanted to do, which obviously meant at times they were going to be displeased with my life choices, because to them, it didn't make sense. They couldn't understand, or they didn't see like how this was going to equate to finances. Like there's no guarantee. Like, Peter, don't you want to know that you're going to, like, you go to a job and you already know every week what you're going to bring home? Don't you want that kind of like comfort and that security? And I was like, no, I mean, because then it's like I'm kind of limited to what I can or can't do. Like I don't want anything to be, I don't know.
Put in a box, it sounds like, yes.
Yeah. So before we get back into this episode, I want to share something really important with you. One of the things that me and Bojo do here, and we've been doing this for over probably 8-10 years now, is we've been running these events called Get a Life Getaway. And in these events, you sit down and you work on your entire life. You work on your vision for your entire life. And we literally dive into every single area of your life to show you, to help you create the vision that you truly deserve. Because if you notice from the episodes that we've been recording here over the years, is this vision is so important. It's probably one of the biggest missing elements in anyone's success. And if you look at all the successful people that you see in life, they have some form of a vision that they follow. So I want to encourage you to go and check out one of our events. We do these events throughout the year. We have tens of thousands of people gone through these events, created their vision, and you'll be shocked to see what kind of a life they're able to create because of that. So head over to lifeonair.com. That's lifeonair.com. At the top of the page, there's a tab called Events. Click on that tab, and you're going to see everything that you need to know about that specific event, when it's held, where it's held, and how to get there. Now, here is the cool thing. Because you are a listener to our podcast, we want to give you 50% off coupon. Actually, we'll give you a little code that when you go to the checkout page, on the right side, you're going to see a promo code area. Put this word in there, podcast. Podcast, hit apply, and you're going to get instantly 50% off coupon. Head over to that page. Don't delay. Do it right now before you go and do something else. All right, let's get back into the episode. I think a lot of the things that you're sharing are pretty powerful. I want to overlook some of the lessons that you're talking about for the listeners that are on the podcast here listening to this. So earlier in the conversation, you talked about like, I don't have any mentors. I don't have any steps. I don't have ABCD. I don't have a plan. I didn't have like, how-to manual to go from literally like, I don't think you were born looking like this, right? You're probably pretty skinny at the beginning, and then you had to grow up to, reach those national levels. So my question to you is this: without knowing all this stuff, first, do you think that has helped you to get to where you were? And then the second thing is, what do you think was helping you to get to this level?
Well, there's no doubt I have tremendous drive, and I don't know if that's something that you're just born with, or if there's things that maybe happen in your life that cause bring that about. But I've always been very competitive, and I'm not someone that has to be pushed. Like high school football, you never had to ask me to I was never one that had to be pushed by a coach to get the best out of me. I always wanted to outdo anyone I was, competing with. And where that comes from, and, I don't know, but I don't even know.
You have a drive, right?
Yeah.
There's a drive.
There's the drive just to be the best at whatever I do. And I don't think that was something that was modeled or something that was even, instructed, as far as my parents. It was just it's just something I've always had inside of me. I just could not stand, and it wasn't because I think I was, there's not an insecurity about it. It was just that my drive and makeup was just to always just do the best I could. And even if I got beat or someone outdid me, it's like, it's not the end of the world. I can just keep coming. I can just keep working to get better, All
right. So listen, for listeners, notice how his view of the entire situation is completely different than most people, right? There's the drive. And if somebody, does something that beats me down, I'll give up and I'll go do it again. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're looking to be the best. You don't know the how to get there. A lot of people get stuck in the how to, right? How do I get there? How do I do the next step? So what I'm hearing from you is you know what? I'm just going to try this, see if it works. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to try this. Am I hearing it correctly?
I think you are. It reminds me of a quote about a month ago I heard for the first time by an American poet named Robert Frost, one of the most well-known American poets in the 20th century. And it resonated with me. And I think this is exactly what we're talking about, but I'll read the quote to you. He says, "Courage is the human virtue that counts most. Courage to act on limited knowledge and or ability. Have courage and a little bit of willingness to venture and to even be defeated." And, you got to break that down. He's just talking about the aspect of having the willingness, the courage to even try something where you might have even your ability may not be there yet. Limited knowledge and limited ability, that should not keep you from ever trying to do something. It's almost like, I'm going to jump off the cliff, and as I fall, I'm going to learn to fly. I could sit there and say, I'm not able to fly, or I can't do this, or what happens if I hit the ground? And it's just the mindset, like, you know what, I'm going to get moving, and along the way, I'll just figure it out. And so I think it's almost like, I like to say that God moves in movement. So we're sitting around waiting on something to happen. Well, like God's not going to put, like, you got a car and you're like, I'm not willing to even venture to try to take a drive or pull, go on this trip yet. Why is God going to put gas in the car? You're not even willing to get behind the wheel and even drive. So you got to first be willing to step out.
Dude, that's gold. See, the guys with name Peter have some really gold stuff to talk about, man. There's something about that name. So God moves in movement. I love that.
Yeah, I love that.
So one more question that I want to ask you, and I'm sure Vojo has got some questions too, is this. So now, one of the things you said earlier too is like, I don't have a problem with going to the gym. I don't have a problem with eating the food. Pretty automatic for me, to stick with that certain diet and those kind of things. I think a lot of people struggle with that, right? And like, well, going to the gym and sticking to the gym, or sticking to the diet, or sticking to whatever that they're looking to do, whether it's business, being consistent. Because one of the things that I hear from you is consistency, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think it works? Why do you think you're able to do that? What is it about you that has you be so consistent and driven and all those things?
Well, like, the consistency is the key in whatever your endeavor is. I mean, so it's paramount to success. It doesn't have to, that's the one thing you can control. You can't control, like, there's a lot of things you can't control, but you can, you can be disciplined, you can be dedicated, and the consistency is a part of that. So, even when I'm dealing with clients and stuff, I can't babysit them. I can't make them do anything. I can encourage them and try to motivate them. See, but I've never had to have that, because, like, to me, it's just like, if I want something, then how do I go about it? I don't even know, but, like, it's a process of just like, there's trial and error. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail, but it doesn't mean that, like, you're not going to still achieve a result. You just have to, like, maybe, like, it may, I don't even know if I'm making sense. I never expected this interview to go this route, like, at all. But
no, I mean, I think you're making total sense, because you just try and see if it works, and it doesn't, right? That's basically what it comes down to, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to understand the mindset of people, and that just don't have. I understand a lot of people struggle with self-belief, and they're insecure, and that's something I've never had a problem with. I mean, I don't always think I'm the best. I don't think I'm the best at a lot of things. I'm really pretty realistic and even humble about certain things, but it doesn't mean I still can't try to, like, do my best, and in the process learn something, and have other people come alongside me that like, now, I mean, like, you don't get, life's about relationships, and you don't get anywhere in life without other people. I understand that, but at the same time, I had to get moving to even, like, get out there and start meeting people. And so, like, if you think something's going to just come to you, or someone's going to find you, or it's just going to happen one day, if you pray hard enough, it's just going to happen. It's like, well, you need to also get out and start moving, and, like, God connecting you with people. So maybe there's a door that if you go through that door, it opens up into a room where there's a lot of new possibilities. But are you even on that path moving towards that door, or are you just staying where you're at? So
there we go. I love that. That's it. I mean, I love that you said that.
Well, talk about and tie that into, man, like, so you're successful in bodybuilding. When did you decide you wanted to make an album?
I think so. The music's always been there, and I tried at different seasons of my life to do, like, the music and make that the focus. And I just, again, maybe me putting expectations on myself, like, to have achieved something by a certain time, and if I hadn't, then, like, it's kind of, we're looking at, like, we're looking at, like, two race horses, like, which one's going to win the race. So I thought maybe the bodybuilding was the one I just need to saddle and just stay on this and just go with that. But the music had always been there. It was like having another horse in the stable that I was just like, well, I don't know if you're my best odds of, actually going out there and like achieving something. But at a certain point in time, I just reevaluated my whole perspective on the music. And I was like, you know what, at the end of the day, this is something that's not, it's not about like, how many people hear the record or the music or what they think. It's something I got to do. It's an expression of me, something that means so much to me. And so to do an album, I think I didn't set out to do an album. I'd always wanted to record music, write music, record music. But once I got in the process of I had enough songs to begin to work with, then it was a matter of like, okay, what's my goal with this? Do I release an EP or do I do an album? Like, I want the songs to sonically have to be able to sit in a playlist where I'm old school, where there's going to be an experience for the listener. So when you hit track A, and if you actually have in this world where there's so much, like every minute, like you're getting like a notification on your phone and distraction, and like calls are coming in and no one can even just sit down and like take the time to like just listen to something. I was like, even though that may be the culture we're in, I want to, if I'm going to do this and I have the songs, I want to lay out an album. I want to lay out an experience. So when someone hits track 1, and if they just sit there and if they can allot 30 minutes of their time just to listen, it takes you on a journey. Because that's what I grew up with. That's how I experienced music. And I know that's not normative now. And I know, artists are just releasing singles and they're focusing on singles because, people have such short attention spans today. So you just got to give them something. And if you put out an album, like, well, that's not making the most of like, having songs that you're constantly putting out. It didn't matter to me. I was like, I have no guarantees with this. I don't know what's going to come from this. This is something that if I was to leave this world, like it's still going to be here. So I want to do this right. And if it's not the way it's done traditionally today, as far as musicians like that are focused on singles, I was like, I don't even care. I want to do an album. It's a challenge. It's harder. It costs a lot more money. And this is why people are looking at it like, why are you doing this? I'm like, why not? Because to me, it matters. If you're going to do something, do it right. I can release a single down the line or do something else. But for my first time doing this, I'm doing this the way I want to do it. And that's an album.
Well, dude, so, I got to tell you, like, when I first saw that you hadn't even recorded it yet. I think I saw something on Facebook where you're like, hey, going into the studios now to start recording, whatever like that. You had made some announcement. And my first thought was like, whoa, what? Because I didn't know that side of you. Like, I only knew you from bodybuilding. And so I'm curious, did you get pushback from people, or were people like, what? You can't do that. You're a bodybuilder, or like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, stick with what you're good at and like, stay in your lane. Like, did you get any of that kind of feedback or no?
I didn't hear anything. No one said anything directly to me. I mean, it's understood. And if you're even bringing that out, then quite right, that people are going to be suspect. They're going to, initially have apprehension, like, what's he trying to do? I mean, like, is he just screwing around? I mean, he's a bodybuilder, right? Like, what's trying to do? Music? And I can understand that, and that's fine. But you know what? The proof is in the record. It's in the music. So, I knew that many people, the people who had known of me, those who were following me from, especially coming out of the bodybuilding industry, that, they were going to be probably some of the harshest critics initially. But the music, so I knew the music would just have to speak for itself. Yeah. I wasn't worrying about what anyone else thought. I didn't care. But knowingly, that's probably how people were going to be. I mean, I call them scrollers and trollers. They're scrolling and they're trolling, and they're looking at stuff, and they're probably just kind of like batting their eyes, rolling their eyes, like whatever. That's just, who does he think he is? Oh, he's going to be a musician now. And I'm like, I understand that's how people probably, or not everyone, but some people would, be inclined to feel or think. Don't bother me at all.
Well, dude, I just can't help but notice, like, I think one of the things is, as you're talking more and more, one of the things that has made you successful is you're just doing your thing. Like, you're just going to do your thing. You're going to figure it out. And you're almost kind of like not worried about what other people are doing. And you're just doing what you want to do and following your goals, your vision, your heart. And like, I got to tell you, man, when like, I didn't know what to expect when I'm like, oh gosh, like, like, who knows? Like, it's, I didn't know what to expect. Dude, I listened to it. It's really good. Like, and you actually I think I just saw something on Facebook. You got some awesome like testimony from what is it, a recording association or something about the album, correct?
Well, it's the owner of the studio, and maybe he's biased because I recorded it in a studio, but I don't think it's that. And it humbles me. He sees artists come through, daily, weekly, monthly. And over the years, he's seeing musicians come through. I mean, as far as big name artists that have recorded there too, So for him to actually say that with all the many artists that have come through there and recorded, that meant a lot. I was humbled by that,
Dude,
it's not
awesome.
It's not the, it's, I'm not up for a Grammy or any of that stuff. It's not like it's not like, it's not anyone writing for, NPR music or the Rolling Stones or, but still the fact that someone would say that, like, it humbles me. I don't know if I'm deserving of that, but
dude, it's awesome, man. Yeah, you got it. So here's it. It says, one of the greatest singer-songwriters you'll ever hear. The songs are honest and will long be classics. Definitely give his album a listen. His music takes the listener on a journey of adventure, sincerity, and inspiration. Bro, that's awesome, man.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
It's so cool. And so, dude, so what is, and so now talk to me, like, is this just Peter 2.0? Like, is this what you're, or have you not even thought through it? You're like, dude, I'm just doing it and seeing what happens. Like, I don't have any aspirations. Like, what is there a plan? Is there not a plan? Like, unpack this for us.
Yeah. So to be honest, Jason, like, rewinding the clock, the music had always been there. Even before me winning the Collegiate Nationals in 2004, I'd attended a music school in Memphis, and that's my connection to Memphis, where I recorded the album. But these two worlds were always kind of like running parallel. They were always there. And like I said, the example was like, you got two like, racehorses, and I'm having like these gambler, odds, like, and it wasn't so much about like, I never worried about what anyone thought. I think I started putting pressure on myself about like, and money never has motivated me. Like I was downtown in my hometown recently, and there was this ridiculously nice, expensive Mercedes parked out on the curb. And I'm walking by that, and I thought to myself, like, that's never motivated me. I've never been one of those people, like, that stuff's never motivated me. Like, it's more about leaving. It's more about leaving. And I have missed the mark, and I have made mistakes, and I've done things that I've regretted. And, and I'm so grateful for God's grace in my life. But ultimately, what am I going to leave behind that's going to last? That's going to, like, there's things that like will resonate with other people and connect with other people. And when I leave, those things like have eternal value. So a car is not going to be that thing. Even money in the bank's not going to be that thing. So music, I mean, when you write a song, and I was not even anticipating this, but when you write a song or songs, and you start having people contacting you about how this particular song speaks to them, how this song, will forever be a part of their a season of their life now because of something they were going through, and that song was a song that meant so much to them. Like, already to have people saying that, it's surreal. And I realized if I was to leave this earth, this music, the music's eternal. I mean, Elvis Presley, Graceland, you know, this landmark that people from, you know, is one of the most visited landmarks in all of the United States, and people from other parts of the world come and visit Graceland because they want to see the home of the king of rock and roll. Graceland could perish in a fire. It could fall to ruins, and there could be a tornado destroy it, a fire that burns it down. But the music, his catalog is eternal. It will always be there. So to me, that's a fascinating. But the whole idea with the bodybuilding or the music, it was about like doing something that I felt like, you know, for me, there things that I'm passionate about, but there were things that I thought like the bodybuilding was a little bit more selfish. No, undoubtedly, as you know, that's a very self-centered lifestyle. You almost have to be. But the music was just this thing that provided so much joy for me. It's therapeutic, and it was something that I had always dreamed of doing. I just didn't know how to go. Again, I didn't know how to go about it. So that was one of the big deals of even getting the studio. Like it wasn't like I just like called up a studio and said, "Hey, I'm ready to record." Like I didn't even know how to go about it. I was kind of I was unsure where to go, who to go to, because I thought like whoever I work with, they're going to have a big impact on my sound. And it's just kind of like working with a photographer. Like whoever shoots me, however they capture me, that's going to have a big, impact on my image and likeness when it goes out. Same with the music when it's heard. Like how does it sound? So, working out logistics. Where do you go to record? How much is this going to cost? Because this isn't cheap. I mean, this was an extremely expensive. People talking about how much money it costs to compete. They have no idea. Like you go record an album, and then like
right.
You go do that. And then let's talk about how much it costs to do something you really love.
So listen, I love what you're sharing. I love your spirit, man. How you go about doing stuff, because that tells me why you're so successful, and it's amazing to see. Also, in the conversation, you guys mentioned that you guys know each other for a long time, right?
It's probably about 2005.
2005. Yeah. Did you guys ever like compete together?
No, I don't believe, right, Jason?
Yeah, I don't think so, man. I did like nationals in 05, and then I did like USA's in 11.
Did you know anything about Voyager? Here's the point that I'm asking, because he keeps talking about being a bodybuilder and all that kind of stuff, and I think he said at one point that he won Miss Universe, I think. So was he any good, really? Or was it just like? I think the listeners want to know the truth here. Come on. Is he any good at this bodybuilding thing?
Jason had a great physique, and there's a lot of great physiques, a lot of people with excellent physiques, and it's really even with and he knows this, like no one's guaranteed anything. I mean, it's just sometimes like I remember winning shows thinking like, how did this guy not win the show? Or like winning my class, I'm thinking like, I don't know what everyone else is saying because this guy looks great. And so it's just a interesting thing because it's not something you can. I you don't control your placings, not at all.
I think for Vojo was like, I think for Vojo everything neck up was the problem. I think. Go ahead, Vojo, for yours.
You just need to no. Peter is on a whole new level, bro. Like I won like my class at like Junior USA and the 10th at Nationals. Peter's like full on pro. Like I never was even close.
That's
to that,
why
man.
I'm saying I'm asking a pro to see if you're actually any good.
But dude, listen, man. Like you're an inspiration, bro. Like I don't know. I know you probably don't think of yourself that way, but you really are, man. Because I think you take away a lot of excuses that other people may have for themselves, and you don't do it in a way that's like pointing fingers, but you just do it by example and by just doing it. And like, so I want people to learn more about you, man. Where do they find you? Tell us about the album. Where can they find that? And find out what you're doing, man.
Well, the album is called The Shadowlands, and it's available on all music streaming platforms. pretty much my name. I'm very fortunate that I have my name as like at Peter Putnam for Instagram and everything. So, I mean, it's easy to find me as long as you know how to spell my name. You can find me anywhere. I'm what's the word in marketing? Omni channels. I'm on most of the
omnipresent.
channels,
Yes, yeah, you're everywhere. Can't get away from you.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I would be delighted if people took the time to listen, stream it. If they like it, share it, add it to. One of the ways that people can really help me is like adding like any songs that you really like from the album to a playlist. Create a playlist, add it to your playlist, because that starts like, you know, getting into the whole algorithm thing for Spotify. But listen, I poured my heart and soul into it. I think I recorded a really good album. I'm proud of it. I'm motivated to continually get better. I mean, as a songwriter, even like the technical side of playing the guitar, you know, there's always the tension between the technical side of it, but also just really not like wanting to be able to capture something that's of true emotion. Like, you know, you want to serve the song and you don't want to lose people. So it's something I'm very passionate about, and I'm not wanting to stop. I want to keep doing this journey. I know there's still a lot of people either maybe still scratching in their head with it, and then there's those who just don't know about me. So if this helps more people, you know, being made aware of me, even if it's a small amount, a tangible amount, you know, a small amount, still I'm not despising small beginnings. I've never been afraid to start over.
Dude, you're awesome, man. I'm proud of you, bro. I'm grateful for our friendship, and thanks for being on the Life Fair Show.
Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
Dude, what a cool guy, man. Like, what an awesome story. I mean, he basically started from zero, and not only did he achieve like really, I mean that's the highest level in pro bodybuilding, which is you're pro. And now he's transitioned to music, and dude, the it's really, really good. Like it's you would never would have thought that. Like, at least I never would have thought that, because I sometimes I think I accidentally kind of pigeonhole people, because when they're so good at one thing, I'm like, how could they possibly be good at something else too? Which is totally surprised by that, and in a great way. Like, super excited for him.
Well, I think for you, it speaks from your experience, because you thought you were good in bodybuilding. That didn't work out so well. Now you're like CEOing, and I don't know if that's working.
I know.
Really
I was not good at anything. That's my problem.
No, you're good, Vojo, good. But listen, here on the serious side of things, one of the things I love about this guy, what he was sharing, is like, nobody can say no to him, and he doesn't accept it, right? Like, looking at failure is not an option. There is no such thing for him from this conversation that we just had. He just keeps going. See if it works. If it doesn't, you know, and go next step, and the next step, and the next step, right?
Success. Like, yeah, I mean, he talks about, like, you know, even from his very first competition, he's like, I didn't even know how to enter. There's a poster. I'm like, what do I need? Like, he didn't know anything, but he didn't let it hold him back. Like, how many of us wait till we have the full 100% formula, which, by the way, there's no such thing to have it. Yeah, it doesn't exist. You got to take steps. And then as you take those steps, the next steps are revealed when you keep walking. Like, you know, we talk about this at the Get a Life Getaway, where like the closer you get to your vision, now you start to get clarity. Like, you can't see, you know, beyond the crest if you're not walking up the hill. Right. And so you got to take that action. That's something that Peter's really done really well at, man. Like, he just keeps going, and he figures it out as he goes, and he doesn't let that kind of fear set in. And if he wants it, he said it. If he wants it, he goes with it. And I love what he said there, that God moves, you know, in the movement, right? Like, yeah, which is like, you know, I think that is so true. Like, and I've heard this said as well. Like, you know, it's like waiting for all the lights to be green before you leave your driveway. Like, that's not gonna get you anywhere. Like, and so I love that he did that, man. The other thing that I love about him is he's following what he's passionate about. Like, he was good. He's great at bodybuilding. He's gifted with music, and he also doesn't let, like, you know, I thought it was interesting. He alluded to, like, you know, money as a motivator for him was not one that exists. Like, it's just not an important thing to him.
Exactly. So I loved it. Hopefully you got some really good nuggets out of this episode, because I got.
We will see you guys in the next episode. Take care, everyone.